Shock and panic have broken out in German schools, especially in Saxony-Anhalt. But that's not because of the news that public broadcasting has just headlined.
At the Carolina Berger Secondary School in Ludwigshafen, there have been over 50 police operations and nearly 120 criminal complaints within 3 years.
Of course, such news is completely ignored, but right now it's just making the rounds. That in Saxony-Anhalt it was about the concerns raised by many parents and also in citizen surveys. That they finally call for compulsory education and no longer just compulsory school attendance. However, tests and everything else such as final exams of course remain the same. And because there's now absolute paranoia in Saxony-Anhalt, they've now made it their mission to let the news report that soon the Abitur might no longer be recognized in Saxony-Anhalt. But hardly anyone talks about what's going on in German schools.
But verbal and physical violence against teachers has now become part of everyday life in Germany.
The worst part is that by now almost everyone knows someone who has experienced something like this. I'm definitely speaking from experience. You might remember the 17-year-old who flipped a coin to decide whether his teacher should die. And now let's talk about the topic of education and how it can be that many parents are now resisting the fact that there is a right to education, or rather compulsory education, and simply don't want to send their children to school anymore, to no longer be exposed to these atrocities. I'm speaking from personal experience from the last few days because my son was also attacked, not at school, but here in the surrounding area. And that's exactly what reflects the spiral of violence. And on the other hand, that's a huge problem, especially in the field of education, what is right and what is not right.
In a survey of 1,311 school principals conducted in 2024, 65% of the principals reported that teachers at their schools had been insulted, threatened, or verbally abused. 36% said that they were defamed or threatened on the internet, and 35% said that there were even physical attacks.
And the schools usually respond by showing more understanding to these students. This is not a joke, this is not fun. Often, the vocabulary used in schools is, brace yourselves, yes, the tests must have been too hard, which is why the students completely lost it. And now we put this in the context that many parents want to resist sending their children to these schools. And I mean, it's actually very good that no surveys have been conducted about how often students have been attacked in these schools. I believe the number of unreported cases is much higher. And on the topic of education, in Germany alone, there are so many people who have hardly any financial literacy.
School is not an isolated space. It is always a reflection of society, and there too there could be a process of normalizing violence.
And unfortunately, our society out there is becoming increasingly impoverished, and that's exactly where I want to take a quick break. I'm always being asked, can't you please start trading again like you used to? You know the videos down below. But how can I benefit from it without analyzing charts all day long? Is there anything on autopilot? And this is exactly where Ultima Markets comes into play, a strictly regulated platform that's regulated in England. They also offer you protection against a negative account balance. You can trade over 1,000 products, including stocks, forex, and even cryptocurrencies, all in one place. And the real reason I'm showing you this today is that they even offer a very attractive copy trading pro program where you can participate without having to sit in front of the chart yourself. And once you've signed up using the link below in the description, just go up here to Copy Trading Pro and see if there's anything you like. And I'm telling you, just as it is, definitely check out the leaderboard. For example, this is the top provider right now. And always make sure to look at the returns, monthly risk, and the highest drawdown that has occurred. Don't always just look at the average monthly growth. And if you want to copy the whole thing, you simply go up here and click on copy. You enter your investment capital here. And what I always do, for example, because I'm really afraid of losing money, is I set the stop loss rate a bit lower, but I only do that for myself so I can sleep much better at night. Then you just click on send and you're good to go. And for all those who have already watched the course down there in the playlists, the absolute bomb that they released for their 10th anniversary, because for their 10th anniversary, they didn't just come up with the 50% bonus, which I hope you've already grabbed. If not, click down below really quickly before it's gone. But they've also come up with the Ultimate Trader Cup. That means there are big prizes, or there will be a prize pool set up afterwards. The more people participate, the more money they'll give away. And I have to say that's where they got me, since I also participated in the World Championship in 2021. I told myself this is the perfect way to get back into it for my future, and I'm definitely in. Feel free to comment below if you're joining too and want to do this together. Then I'll invite you to my private WhatsApp group. So comment below if you don't want the same thing to happen to you as it did to these students.
Violence at home, poverty, or migration can be reasons for violent behavior among young people.
Above all, it's poverty. There's nothing as bad as poverty. When you're confronted out there every day with situations where the other kid has so much more, and we're really speaking as parents here. Honestly, I have to say, if I had the opportunity to take my children out of school here in Lower Saxony and maybe join up with other parents to give them a private education, we would do it, especially after the recent attacks on my son. I really am, I have to say, a big supporter of education. And here in Lower Saxony, they're now testing whether math classes should simply be eliminated.
Children who surf the internet unsupervised can easily access violent scenes, according to the expert. Social media, incitement, hate, and emotional manipulation.
And what kind of resources are available for parents? Let me tell you, there is an informative parent information night, for example. My wife was there and just told me, hey, it's good you weren't there. The information sources are zero. But people prefer to forbid things rather than tell the children the truth about it, especially to set boundaries. Well, I don't know which team you're on, but I've always been on the team of clear boundaries. My children know clear boundaries. They don't have Instagram. They use WhatsApp and are allowed to watch a little YouTube. And only the channels that we, my wife and I, have approved beforehand. Period. That's it. We don't need to forbid anything. My children can decide for themselves what they watch and what they don't watch. And scenes that glorify violence are definitely not among them. So instead of blaming social media now, we should all think about it a little bit. And specifically, what if we just started talking to each other more again? If we encouraged more communication between parents? But that's not what you achieve through cancel culture, hate, or disinformation. So exactly what has been pushed forward is now the reason why violence in schools is now escalating so dramatically. Our government really didn't think it through back then when they actually put this into action. Some SPD members are now demanding that social media should be launched by the government itself in order to regulate what everyone is allowed to see and read here.
That's why we're also discussing a social media ban in schools.
The problem of violence is a real challenge for schools.
And now I'm probably going to make myself unpopular with a lot of people. Absolutely not. There should be no social media ban for children. I'm totally in favor of training for parents on how algorithms work. However, when it comes to social media in schools, I'm an advocate for an absolute ban. By the way, my children no longer take a cell phone to school. I've simply gotten out of the habit, or rather, my children are only allowed to use it in the kitchen. Why? Because we had the same issue. Other kids at school forwarded links via WhatsApp. My wife and I didn't notice it. After that, there was a 6-month phone ban. Why? They opened those links and then kept scrolling and looked at other things. But since that goes against our algorithm, the one we programmed ourselves, there was a 6-month restriction imposed at home, the media ban on YouTube. They're only allowed to watch at the kitchen table, which by the way worked really well because all these kids, I mean all my kids, now ask us beforehand if they're even allowed to click on the link. And since the description is always there on YouTube or other social media platforms, we as parents can decide ourselves whether they can click on the links or not. And here as well, please create accounts for your children everywhere, especially where you can see their activity history. And then it won't happen anymore unless they're pretty clever and can delete the history. But I don't want to explain that here. I don't know how many kids are watching these videos.
Many school principals fear damage to their reputation if problems come to light. In Hesse, 14% of all principal positions are either vacant or only partially filled.
I told you that my son was attacked. I had the same feeling at my daughter's school and also at my son's school. The main reaction was, oh God, what will happen if this gets out? Oh God, what will happen if this reaches the press? And yes, I really have to say here, these concerns are definitely, and I mean really definitely justified, because what sensible parent would willingly send their children to such schools, I mean send their children there voluntarily? And this is exactly where I have to say, if you have children, if you have grandchildren, please, you're here on YouTube, please just make these children aware. Talk to the children and explain to them that this doesn't work before you, yes, I really have to say it like this, completely lose your connection to your children and grandchildren. Social media definitely kills. However, you can set clear ground rules for a very harmonious household. And when it comes to bans, I still have to say no thank you except in schools.